Welcome to Q&A, Social Security Disability Today. This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, representing you and your Social Security and disability needs. If you have a problem or questions regarding Social Security and disability, call attorney Anthony Reeves. Here's your host, attorney Anthony Reeves.
Bipolar, depression, mixed violent disorder. I've done a number of videos where I have spoken about mental health impairments. And I know I may come off sounding redundant when I'm saying a lot of the things that I'm saying because it sounds like I'm saying them over and over again, but I'm also trying to say things from a consistency standpoint. Mental health impairments are probably the toughest impairments to evaluate because unlike something definitive that you can see, like a broken bone or maybe a lab result that shows you where something is off, you're talking about impairment that basically relates to the one organ that is probably the greatest mystery to mankind, which is the brain. Anytime you're dealing with emotions that stem from, or symptoms of signs that stem from conditions such as bipolar or depression, or conditions like a mixed violent disorder or oppositional defiance disorder, it becomes tricky. And so when I say tricky, you start to look to other mechanism or means to make a determination of how severe the situation is. So let's kind of take it like a step at a time. One, who are you going to see? That's really one of the biggest things that we're going to be focused on. Like, who are you going to see? Who is your treatment providers? Are you going to a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist? Second, what are you doing in terms of treatment? Are you going to therapy sessions? Are you receiving medication? If you're receiving medication, what type of medications are you taking? How many times have you had involuntary admissions as a result of your impairments? Then we also look at what various individuals, whether they be your providers or third parties, are saying about how your impairment affects you. Sometimes it's not always black and white, but you have to look at everything collectively to see how it impacts your daily activities. The toughest things that I run across when I'm dealing with individuals who have mental health impairments is the realization that there are periods of time where they have what I call a wax and wane. You have good periods and you have bad days. Now these, in mental health standpoint, are probably the biggest situations of good days and bad days. Because let's be real, on some days, depending on the severity of your mental health impairment, you may be able to function for short periods of time. Short period can be an hour, it could be a day, it could even be a week. And then something may happen. It could be something internal or external that triggers kind of a crash moment, where during that period where you crashed, you're not able to function at the level that you normally were before. The key is being able to describe those moments and having medical evidence that can support your assertions that your mental health impairments are causing you that level of problems. So when you're describing your condition, make sure you take it upon yourself to be very detailed so that people get an understanding of how you're able to function. Let me give you a good example. Let's say somebody asks you, you go grocery shopping, and you say, yeah. Don't leave it to the person to fill in the blanks. Meaning, well, I'm going to tell you like this. Most grocery stores that I go to are like a zoo. It's on and popping the moment you walk in there. But if you go to the grocery store like Walmart is 24 hours a day, you go grocery shopping at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's a ghost town. Well, guess what? If you leave off the fact that you only go to a grocery store when it's a ghost town, or maybe you go to a convenience store that's close by. Why? Because there's hardly anybody there, so you don't have to deal with people. That's different than just saying, I go to the grocery store. Don't let people fill in the blanks for you with regards to the circumstances. Because if you say, I can't deal with crowds, yet you go to the grocery store, then guess what that person's going to do? They're going to bridge that gap and say, well, maybe your ability to deal with people is not as bad as you say you are, because you can still go to the grocery store. like I said, don't let them fill in the gaps for you. Make sure you clarify that going to the grocery store is a unique phenomenon for you because you go under unique circumstances. Maybe, Anthony's grocery store on the corner typically only has 1 to 2 people in there on a regular basis, and you know me because I work behind the counter. Well, that's a little different than going to like Costco or Publix or Walmart where there's a crowd. So you want to make sure you describe your situations accordingly. I always tell people it's not about the impairment. Don't get caught up on the fact that you've been diagnosed with mixed violent disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, bipolar depression. Don't get caught up in the diagnosis. The thing you need to be able to do is to determine and help Social Security get an understanding of how limiting your condition truly is as a result of your mental health impairment. Stay tuned for a bonus disability tip.
Grocery shopping. You know what? I'm pretty sure everybody does this on a weekly basis, maybe even on a monthly basis, probably even on a daily basis. But when you're saying that you're disabled, grocery shopping could take on a whole different vibe. Meaning you're talking about pushing a cart, you're going up and down aisles, you're looking up and down for things, you're reaching, you're grabbing. That may have been an easy activity before you apply for disability, but now that you're disabled, it takes on a different vibe. Make sure you pay attention to how doing something as routine as grocery shopping impacts your ability to do things. Trust me, whether you believe it or not, you never go into a grocery store for 5 minutes. You're usually in there for a while, and you need to be able to describe how you're limited by your ability to do things as simple as grocery shopping. The more you know, the more you can help your situation.